When a carriage horse named Deniz collapsed and died in New York City's Central Park, the images spread across the internet within hours. Visitors who had come to enjoy an ordinary day in one of the world's most famous parks suddenly found themselves witnessing a tragedy. News organizations quickly picked up the story. Social media filled with reactions, and animal welfare groups began issuing statements. Before long, the death of a single horse had reignited one of the most controversial debates in New York City. For years, horse-drawn carriages have occupied a unique place in the public imagination. Supporters see them as a historic tradition and an iconic part of the city's identity. Critics argue that horses no longer belong working in a dense urban environment. Because of that long-running disagreement, many people immediately viewed Deniz's death through the lens of a debate that had already existed. Yet, in the hours immediately following the incident, one critical question remained unanswered. Nobody knew exactly why the horse had died. That answer would come later, when veterinarians completed a necropsy. According to public reports, the findings pointed towards a cause that many observers had not expected. Examiners reportedly found evidence that Deniz had consumed a lethal amount of Japanese yew, an ornamental shrub that veterinarians have long considered highly toxic to horses. The discovery changed the conversation. To understand why, it is important to understand what Japanese yew actually is. Most people have probably walked past the plant countless times without realizing it. Landscapers value it because it is attractive, durable, and relatively easy to maintain. It appears in parks, residential developments, office complexes, and gardens throughout much of North America and Europe. To the average person, it looks completely harmless. Within the horse world, however, Japanese yew has a very different reputation. Veterinarians frequently include it on lists of plants that should never be accessible to horses. The plant contains compounds known as taxines, which can interfere with normal heart function. In sufficient quantities, those compounds can cause catastrophic cardiac problems and death. What makes Japanese yew particularly concerning is that relatively small amounts can be dangerous. Unlike some toxic plants that require substantial consumption before causing serious illness, this plant has long been regarded as one of the most hazardous ornamental shrubs a horse can encounter. That reality immediately raised questions. If Japanese yew played a role in Deniz's death, how had the horse gained access to it? Was the plant known to be present in the area? Had anyone recognized the potential danger beforehand? To understand why those questions matter, it is worth considering how seriously horse owners typically take the issue of toxic plants. Across the horse world, poisonous vegetation is a well-known concern. Experienced horse owners routinely inspect pastures, fence lines, and turnout areas for potentially dangerous plants. Agricultural Extension offices publish guides devoted entirely to identifying hazardous vegetation. Veterinarians regularly advise clients to become familiar with the plants growing on their properties. The reason for that caution is simple. Horses spend much of their lives surrounded by vegetation, and while they often avoid many toxic plants, they do not always do so. Environmental conditions, curiosity, boredom, or simple opportunity can sometimes lead a horse to consume something harmful. This challenge is not unique to New York City. Horse owners in rural communities face it every year. Ranchers face it, boarding facilities face it, trail riders encounter it. The presence of potentially toxic plants is one of the many realities that comes with managing horses. Japanese yew occupies a particularly concerning place within those discussions because of its reputation among veterinarians. The plant is already widely recognized as a serious hazard in equine medicine, which is one of the reasons the necropsy findings attracted so much attention. Reports that emerged after the findings suggest that drivers had not been informed that Japanese yew was present in an area regularly used by horses. Whether that should have occurred and who ultimately bears responsibility will likely continue to be debated. However, the claim immediately shifted the discussion away from assumptions and towards questions about environmental awareness and communication. At that point, another important topic entered the conversation: horse behavior itself. Horses experience the world differently than humans do. They investigate their surroundings through sight, smell, touch, and taste. Long before horses became riding animals, sport horses, police horses, or carriage horses, they survive by moving through landscapes and constantly evaluating vegetation. Even today, those instincts remain. Anyone who has spent years around horses has seen them reach towards bushes, investigate leaves, stretch towards grass, or sample unfamiliar plants. Most of the time, these interactions are harmless. Occasionally, they are not. Understanding that behavior does not remove the importance of supervision, but it does provide context for why vegetation remains an important consideration wherever horses are kept or work. It must be important to remember that horses are not supposed to eat any of the plants surrounding them when they are driving carriages, but that expectation to me is unrealistic. The death of Deniz, therefore, became more than a story about a single incident. It became a story about how horses interact with their environment and how people manage the risks that come with caring for large animals. As public discussion continued, the broader carriage horse debate inevitably returned. Critics argued that the incident demonstrated why horses should not be working in cities. Supporters countered that the necropsy findings illustrated the importance of waiting for evidence before drawing conclusions. Reasonable people may disagree about the future of carriage horses in New York City. What is harder to dispute is that the importance of understanding the facts before reaching conclusions. One of the striking aspects of this case was how quickly assumptions formed before the necropsy results were available. Once the veterinary findings became public, the story appeared far more complex than many observers initially believed. That complexity is worth remembering because horse welfare discussions rarely benefit from oversimplification. Horses live in environments that contain risks. Owners, trainers, riders, veterinarians, and caretakers spend enormous amounts of time attempting to reduce those risks. Yet no environment can be made entirely free of hazards. The challenge is to identify dangers, communicate effectively, learn from incidences when they occur, and continually improve management practices. In the case of Deniz, the findings prompted difficult questions about toxic plants, environmental awareness, and horse welfare. Those questions extend far behind a simple park or a single city. They touch on issues that horse owners and caretakers face throughout the world. Unfortunately, the story serves as a reminder that meaningful discussions about horse welfare require patience, evidence, and a willingness to examine all of the facts. The death of Deniz was undeniably tragic, but understanding what happened requires looking beyond assumptions and focusing on the information that investigators and veterinarians were able to uncover. Only by doing that can people have informed conversations about how to reduce risks and create safer environments for horses in the future. Thank you so much for joining us. And please remember, I am not AI. If you listen closely, you can hear me breathing.